How does a costume inform roleplay? Well, for some people, dressing up as their D&D character is a bridge too far. After all, it's hard enough pretending to be another person without having to worry about fashion in fantasy life as well as your real life. But there is something to be said about letting your physical experience of a character inform your roleplay at the table. Let's chat about D&D costuming. What's up, baby bards? I'm Anne Richmond, aka Hearthsinger, the head bard in charge, and today I want to talk about costuming. I love cosplay, so let me give you a little bit of background. When I was in theater school, the first thing that we did in scene study class was to talk about what kind of shoes we thought our character would wear and bring them into class. And the reason that we did this was because the clothes that you wear inform how you take up space and how you move and how you feel about yourself. So wearing heels is going to create a different character physicality than wearing work boots. Another example of this is when I worked at a Ren Fair doing stunt choreography. The first thing we had to do was get our shoes, and then if we were going to be wearing a half skirt or a longer skirt, we had to get that. We had to get any bodices or corsets, anything restrictive that we were going to wear, so that we would know not only whether something was possible that a director was asking us to do, but how uncomfortable it would be and how it would change the way we moved through space. And guys, it's important because a noblewoman who has a servant alongside her to always hand her her cup and carry all of her belongings is going to move through the Shire with freedom. Whereas a bard with a djembe on their hip and a mandolin slung across their back is going to have a very different experience trying to carry themselves through space or move through a crowded tavern. The point is, clothes change how we exist in our physical world. And in order to start understanding how your character is affected by that, you're gonna wanna try and create in your mind's eye an image of them, or get some character art done. Some people even are fine just sort of going head to shoulders to torso to legs to toes and just really thinking and writing down what they believe their character is wearing. I love character art. It's very helpful to me to sort of figure out the type of person that I'm playing and how that is manifested in what they wear. And it doesn't mean you need to shell out a bajillion dollars on the fanciest character art. You can do this just by drawing a stick figure and just thinking methodically about what they have on. Do they wear robes, a gown, breeches? Do they have a skirt hitch so that they can be a little bit more mobile if action breaks out? Are they wearing silks or homespun linens? Is their hair a wild tangle of curls and leaves, or is it done up in several intricate braids? Or maybe you've just used a quill to knot up your hair and pull it back from your face while you're in a laboratory. Thinking about a character's sense of fashion also gives you a sense of what their priorities are and how much they care about what people see from them out in the world. Fabric choice, hair, and a level of constriction are the biggest things I think about when I'm getting ready to wear an outfit to D&D. Fabric choice is going to inform how I feel about myself, maybe my level of wealth. You know, if I'm moving around in a sumptuous silk gown, I'm going to be perhaps a little more charismatic or flamboyant in the way I deal with the world. If I'm wearing a hood, maybe I'm trying to obscure my face. Maybe I'm sitting back and letting other people take the lead a little bit more so that I can take advantage of the moment when it pops up. With hair, if it's down and around my face, I tend to feel a little bit more confident in myself personally, so that's nice if that's what I'm trying to bring out in myself for a character. But if I didn't try to do anything with it, maybe it's because the character doesn't give a fuck about it. So that could be true. Another thing is that if I have it pulled back, for me personally, that skews myself a little bit more mask in the way I'm presenting, which is a weird gendered thing that I should probably unpack, but that's what it communicates to me personally. It might communicate something to you differently, and that's okay too. This is all about informing yourself. giving yourself messages about who you are so that you are more successful in projecting outwards what you intended to create. You're hearing me talk about fabric choices and bodices, and cosplay can be extremely intimidating. And for me, it certainly does have an all or nothing effect on my creativity levels. And if you feel that way too, then for sure go off. Who am I to stop you? If you find this intimidating, go ahead and choose what I call a signature item. You are gonna limit yourself to one thing to wear at the table for your character, whether that's a flower crown for a pixie or a specific necklace that you use as your focus for casting spells or calling out to your god, or maybe it's your horns for your tiefling, or teeth if you're playing a Dampier. I mean, there could be one thing that sort of sets you in the mood for your character and that communicates something to the other people at the table about who you are. And the nice thing about having this signature item is it creates sort of a difference between who I am, Anne, as the person, and who I am, Irina Wren, as the Paladin of Melil. And especially for games where you have this more emotional vibe, where you and your fellow role players like to roll deep, as it were, into the emotional stakes of the storytelling. Sometimes having that little bit of a ritual of putting on the character and taking them off, even if it's just one signature item, helps to separate those things and keep you a little emotionally safe from the vibes and the feelings at the table that I love so much. Yeah. And if you're gonna go further than that one thing, my biggest recommendation is to keep comfort in mind. Unless you're playing at a table where everybody's standing, or it's more like a chamber LARP where you're kind of milling around a room together, you're gonna be sitting. So if you're piling on armor, or even just like wearing a full torso corset or bodice, it's gonna start cutting into your tum or your legs over time. So you'll wanna keep that in mind when you're selecting things, which is why if I imagine somebody in a corset, but I wanna wear, a signature item to that effect, I might wear a cincher, which is like an underbust, almost like a little more than a belt, a little less than a corset type of thing. If I'm worried about armor, I might go ahead and just wear a gorget and pauldrons instead of like wearing the entire deal. Or I might go ahead and find, there's like fabric that you can get at Joann's that looks like chainmail, and wear that underneath a tabard with a belt. That kind of thing can help you sort of get a little bit towards where you're going without having to fully commit to the discomfort of full plate mail at the D&D table. Let's talk about props, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about all the good props and the bad props that may be. Let's talk about props. Let's talk about props. So, especially for your casters and your clergy. Casters and clergy, man, is that the name of a cool one-shot? I don't know. I'll tuck that in the back for later. When you're a caster and you need to focus for your spells, imagining that you have to hold an orb and cast through it, or speak into an orb and cast out the other hand, or use a wand, or any number of things, it really informs your physicality of the role play when you're casting spells, and I love that. And for clergy, I love when you have a holy symbol, and you could make it out of Sculpey or clay. You could find a necklace at a thrift shop that you like, or one that you already own that means something to you. And the reason that I like it is that praying as role play, for me at least, is a challenge. Which is weird because I've played my fair amount of monks and clerics and paladins, but I think having this symbol that you can hold on to and put energy and focus into in the real world as you attempt to speak to your god means you're not just staring with terror into the eyes of your DM, you are connecting with an imagined higher power through something you can physically hold on your person. And I think that that really helps settle me into moments of prayer when I'm role playing. So try it. Let me know what you think in the comments. And if you are not totally locked into technology, like using D&D Beyond on your iPad or other programs on your computer, or taking notes in docs and things like that, it can be nice to separate yourself out from the world of technology and have a beautiful leather notebook to keep your story in. Especially for me, for characters that are like highly nerdy, like your wizards, your artificers, and the like. I love to have physical books and at least take my notes in there, even if I'm using tech for the rest of it. So that just makes me feel like I have a representation of my spell book or my observations from experiments or things like that. Depends on the character. Yeah, nothing makes you feel nerdier than when you're frantically scribbling away at taking physical notes in a book and then saying, oh, everyone, I figured it out. The BBEG is, oh no, Benvolio's already gone. Because that's just it. When you are so into your own thoughts and theories, it's easier to let other characters who are more impulsive have those split seconds to make decisions that you cannot stop, and that can be a lot of fun. So take notes in leather-bound books. You heard it here first, folks. You definitely didn't. There's lots of other people who've done great videos about note-taking, so go find one of them to talk to you more about that. Let's get familiar, or familiar. I love to physicalize familiars with stuffed animals or puppets that I can use or the DM can use if they're into that. It helps when I have something to talk to and interact with and develop a relationship with over time. And it also helps the party to visualize, what your style, your vibe is, but to interact with it as well. Imagining this, tiny little pet, it's not impossible, but this is more fun for me. I have a Beastmaster Ranger in one of my groups who has a dire possum puppet that she brings to games, and I've never had more fun in my life. And we would all of us die for that possum. And while I think that could be true if we didn't have a physical representation, it made us all fall in love that much quicker. So what do you think of these ideas? Are you the kind of person who would give costuming a try at the D&D table or not? Let me know in the comments below. And hey, if you found this video inspiring or interesting, then by all means give it a like and subscribe for more TTRPG goodness right here on Heartsinger Games. And if you want to play Dungeons & Dragons with me, you can head over to my Patreon. The information is down there in the doodly-doo to check out. So please come join us. I run games as often as I can for folks in my Patreon community, and I'd love to play with you. We'll see you next time. Bye! In life, one has to face a huge assortment of nauseating checks and evil vice. There's skill encounters, saving throws important, and many other ways to roll the dice. Roll for insight, stealth. I am a doubter. Nature, con. That's no way to impress. Charisma's my best stat. Observe the outer. I am what I wear and how I dress.